let's get going. So it's Monday the 7th. This is the Layer5 websites meeting. I got to say, when we first created the meeting, I wasn't sure if websites was the most appropriate term at the time, and this still is the case, but at the time we had 6 websites, and we were mostly focused on, well, on things that are websites. We do, also the community does a fair bit of work on Mesh or UI on a web-based application. And so I often wonder if we shouldn't be talking about that here as well. To date, we haven't spent a lot of time on it. So anyway, welcome everybody. Nice to have you. Anyone that hasn't been on this call before? Has everyone been on this call before? Nice. Okay. Good deal. Fair enough. So a couple of topics are lined up. Sajjad had mentioned that he would join to go over a couple of his designs that he's sent. He's not on at the moment. I'm going to move this to the bottom. And if he isn't here by then I'll just present them to you all. And so, well, all right, Ashen, you're up. So breaking down the internships by year, by category, and by year. I guess they're already broken out by category, but yeah, do you want to dig in here?
Yeah, so like we have to break it in different years. Like if it's GSOC, then it should be like GSOC 2020, 2021, and 2019. And so like I have created a PR already, and that is being reviewed by Nikhil. But like as I told, that we are having some concerns, and those concerns are that like we want the user to give him the freedom that he can directly go to GSOC/2021 and get the details about GSOC/2021, and without him, and we shouldn't bother him that there's also GSOC 2020 or 2019 also. And also, so what we are going to do is, like, we are going to have a generic route, which would be like layer5.io/program/GSOC. And in that, we are going to have the first pull request here. So, which is okay. So what we are going to have is, like we are going to change this, and we are going to make a generic route for all the programs where we would have a drop down. So previously it was Google Sum of Code 2021, 2020, and 2019 repeated, but now it's like only 2021, and we have a drop down there where we can change the details. So if you click on something else, and it would change, but the problem is that on the, like in the Windows tab, if you see the URL still shows 2021, and that is a problem, because that's not good for SEO. So we want a path which is quite generic, like program/GSOC, and that would contain all these stuff. Apart from this, we also want a path which is specific to programs, like program/GSOC/2019, and that shouldn't contain this drop down thing. So like these are the changes that we have to make.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Those all sound good, except for the last one sounds, well, actually in a lot of respects, the last one doesn't sound as great, because if you're looking at 2021, if I go to the latest, which right now, what you have listed here is pointing people to the latest, which I suspect is probably the ideal, is that we're dropping them into the category when they click here, and that they then see the fact that there's a category of our participation. Maybe there's a general description that lives on for all 3 of them, but that they could then navigate to individual years, see the specifics about the years. On any given year page, they would be able to see the links to the other pages. If you don't put this navigator on the individual page for like 2019, like you were saying, then actually you shouldn't have it here on 2021 either. And so basically you wouldn't have it anywhere.
No,
Unless
actually, that's not the case. The thing is, like if you see in the URL, it says that gsoc/2021. So basically, someone wants to access only the Google Summer of Code 2021. So in that case, we only want him to like see this page and not have the drop down. So like we will have like two separate components where one would be the generic component. Like when a person is exploring, then he can just go to Google Summer of Code and he can just check what are the options available. But once he's like if he wants to share something for like Google Summer of Code 2021 only, then like we don't need the drop down.
Gotcha. Do you know what?
Like it's actually a bit confusing, and for the same reason I and Nikhil were discussing yesterday, and Nikhil told me that the latter is good.
Gotcha.
If we don't want the latter, then the problem is like already solved.
You know what? It's actually one of the more simple things to do. And I don't mean to detract from the complexity that you guys have been going through, but I'll describe it like this: that like there are on the and this site isn't unique in this regard, but on the Layer5 IO site, there are, well, things that you would more or less refer to as a collection of items. So there are, there's a collection of books. So there's a page that has books that say that there's this many books. And then you can go to each individual book page. There's a collection of workshops, however many we have, and then individual pages for each workshop. Same for each of the projects. Same for the blog posts. And I think, and actually you can, the same for the events, the same for the internships, the same for the open jobs. The blog post is probably the most relatable thing. And okay, so here's the blog. And so if you imagine that the internships are like GSOC is a category of a blog post. If you think of it in this way, like the problem is very simple and already solved a bunch of ways, which is, so we go to the main site, go to a blog post. There are, I'm not saying that we would represent the other categories like this, but what you end up doing is you want some discoverability between individual years and the fact that there have been multiple years. And so a couple of things that just come with any collection is like usually some amount of internal navigation to the category. And in the case of what you guys are doing, it's the drop down for the different years. So having that on every page, even the individual page, is good in so much as if you directly land there, you wouldn't, unless you had the drop down or some other navigation, you wouldn't necessarily understand that Layer5 has been involved for the whatever other years that they're not looking at. So I guess what I'm going to say is like, part of what you, Haridash, and I think what you're trying to do about being dynamic and pulling things in on the fly from GraphQL is like it's a simpler problem to solve. Is like, in order to provide for SEO, provide for individual routes, and provide for navigation within a category. Well, it's like just the same thing as a set of blogs. It's just the same thing as any other collection. So we would want to approach it in the same way. If we click /events, we're on community/events. So there's a collection of them. They're of different types. If you go look into any one of them, it'll tell you about the event itself. Now, I bet when we scroll down, we so we see a link to go join this event. We see a call to action for other things on the site, which is good. What we don't see is, which is bad, what we don't see is, oh, is Layer5 participating in any other events? I don't know. Maybe I guess I have to navigate to wherever they have events. Okay. Like that's bad. Like people aren't aware or don't see it. Like it would be nice if there was basically this same thing, but only like 3 of these shown, basically just like the related blogs where it's like, hey, what do we want them to do next? Well, on the on the events page, we want them to either join that event or do one of these other 2 call to actions. And it might be too many because there's like 3 right in a row. The thing that we don't indicate to them and we don't show is the fact that this is one of many events that we attend. They wouldn't know that from this particular page. So going back to the design that you have, is it like so like it's okay to potentially use a dropdown for the navigation between years, but it is, I think, the only place that we're using that we will be using to navigate between individual items in a collection. So it's different, which can be good, but it's also not something that the user would be expecting necessarily. It's not necessarily something that we've trained them on or taught them that this is how you navigate the site. What we've taught them on the blog section is you navigate between items in the collection by going through this carousel here. Okay. How have we taught them to go through other collections like the community members? Okay, so here's a collection of them. There's a way to filter them. Who are the maintainers? Oh, okay. Who are the meshmates? Okay. Who's actually active? Oh, it's these people. Okay, if I click on this funky looking guy, I click on this good looking guy. Here's some info about him. He's participating in this area currently. Which I think is changing, especially with some GraphQL work that he's doing in Meshery. So there might be another badge forthcoming here. Okay, anyway, well, that looks awesome. I would love to participate. Oh, okay, would I like to be okay, but he must be the only one. I don't, do they have any? Well, I can go back to, if I had searched for Gotham just on Google, I don't know if this is a popular name or not. Apparently there's a doctor named, but anyway, had I searched for that and landed on Layer5's site on Gotham's profile specifically, well, then I wouldn't necessarily know that, oh, Haridashan is here as well. And I can go check out his profile, which Haridashan, maybe we should get one of those at some point. What is going on? Why is Gotham's
he's added recently, so I guess like Google search indexing is not yet.
Okay.
You can search lee-calcote Layer5, you'll get tons of results.
Yeah, I'm sure. Nobody wants to listen to Lee anymore but this guy. Whoa, check out this guy actually meet the maintain. Ooh, geez, my goodness. Oh, Mr. Anyway, Haridashan, what I was trying to do is not talk your head off. What I was trying to do is, like reinforce that there's a few different things that you guys have created, thought through and created that are pretty good. The ability not only for SEO to have individual routes, great. Also just for like, hey, if I'm super excited about the 2022 that's coming up and what's being planned, and I want to share that with you, well, I'd want to grab the GSOC 2022 and give you that link specifically, not send you the generic one, or not send you one where I want to talk to you about 2022, but you go there and you actually see 2019 because it was the first one or something like that. And so your thoughts and both yours and Nikhil's, you guys are on the right path. I guess what I'm trying to say is the problem that you're facing has been solved any number of, or just a bunch of other ways. And you would want to draw from the same ways in which it's been solved before. Projects is not a good example of a collection that, of a standard collection. Projects, there's very few of them, and these are highly curated. Like, we spend tons of time, you are spending time basically here on this. The same thing for the books. There's only so many of them. So when we show them the collection, it's a highly curated kind of experience. Like, but where we expect to have tons of the same thing, for the number of community members or the number of events or the number of blog posts or number of times that we're in the news. So this is news items. Like, what's the difference between news item and a blog post? Like, oh, they're really similar. And actually, like, we try to change it around a little bit just so that it, to the user, it's not just grids and grids and grids of collections. So Josh was here as we were originally kind of redesigning this area, and he can recount the same things. So at the bottom, okay, it's latest new. It's not related blog posts, fine. It's latest news. Okay, this is actually a little bit of a different thing. Like, the GraphQL query for the blog posts, it's a related tag name, or I'm sorry, it's the same blog posts that are in the same category, the same main category as the one that you're looking at. Here on news, it's like, what's the latest? Okay, fine. So as you contemplate, as you think about, where were we? We were on internships. This isn't quite the view that you're looking at, though. So yeah, here. This is like careers/programs. Good. You're going to change it, I hope, such that when you have a card here, it will not say 2021. It will just say Google Summer of Code. Poof, that's it. You click, the user clicks to go in. Ideally, and I can help with this if needed, but ideally, like, there would be some static set of, like, who is Layer5, what do we do, and why do we participate? And this is super generic. This is applicable across all the years. There's this logo, and then sort of why we get involved, what we do. And then there's like year specific things. So this is 2019 stuff. And then you can follow with some of your other ideas. Like, actually, instead of the drop down, if there's if there's the same carousel, that would work down here. If you stick with the drop down, I would don't. So let's go back to your. Okay, so it's here, same level as the other navigation as the go back. Okay, good. It's the same indentation, or it's aligned with the other content, A little bit of an extra, like, is this the same amount of room from, I think, are these two on the same, my eyesight off this morning? I don't know if these two are on the same line height, are they? Maybe.
Their start is on the same line, but they are not centrally aligned. The start is aligned equally.
Okay. So hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this is encouraging. It could be that, like, oh, what we do is we start with the year specific stuff up top, which is what this is, and then down below it's the same generic stuff. It could be either way. You'll end up having, it's not just a GSOC concern, but it's an LFX. It's this community bridge, which we've been participating in since 2019 as well. We've probably done a really poor job of, like, documenting this, which, Hari Dashan, if you don't know this year's participants for GSOC or LFX, it'd be good to get you familiar with those guys, and to have, we need to go document what we did in 2020, and 2021, And it looks like we don't have that up here.
So currently, we are not having like years in community bridge. It's just community bridge. So I guess we need to add it.
Yeah. We definitely did community bridge things. We definitely participated in Hacktoberfest more than, all of those years as well. And to that's not your fault, or that's not necessarily the content that you have to go dig up, but you can certainly hit people on the head and say, like me, and say, hey, we're missing stuff. But anyway, so as you think a bit more about this, if you would, like, and prove me wrong if I'm misremembering. We're not using this for navigation anywhere. We can. It's just when you do something different, you really need to give consideration. Like, okay, is this a paradigm that we want to, a paradigm of interaction that we want to establish with the user? You want to train the user that this is how they nav. Is it like, maybe what we're trying to say here is like, hey, look, this isn't a related blog post, or this is different. This is a different type of collection. It's not a related blog post. It's not a latest news item. It's not another event. It's not like there's not another mesh. It's not another member. There's a lot of collections on the site. We didn't go through them all. I'd mentioned workshops as one. It works slightly differently. Actually, I'm curious now if we go in. So this one's cool in that when you click on it, it doesn't drop you into the page itself. It just expands the one that you clicked. And so the problem with something like this is, well, if you don't also give people an individual page to land on, you end up with exactly what Nikhil was rightfully highlighting, is that, well, we're really missing out on an SEO opportunity. We're also missing out on the fact that, like, I'm super excited about this one and I want to share it with you. How do I give you a link to just this one? No, not that one. I mean this one specifically. Oh, okay. Well, if it, and again, like, this is about the only, well, I think there's two places where you find this icon, which is, what is that? What is that? Is that a maximize? Oh, okay. Like, it's not a great icon is what I'm saying. It's not, it's great for, like, if you're writing a web app, maybe, but it doesn't look like a Mac. It doesn't, I don't know. Anyway, point is that same challenge that you're working through had to be solved on every single one of these collections. And what I was trying to say is, like, it doesn't have to be tough. Like, it's been solved a number of ways. You can choose an existing paradigm. This one is sexy in so much as there's a transition like this. Ooh, feels good. I'll sit here and play with it. But what is unintuitive, what is a little bit different, is this guy that, and it sort of bounces around as yeah. Okay, now I'm curious though, but if we're in here, what are we doing? So we're saying call to action is you can get more info. You can go to this link, which is, I guess, to DockerCon itself. Oh, this is terrible. Oof, this is terrible. A link to a picture that, ooh, God, it's a bit meshy. Let's do that again. Ooh. If you guys can think of anything else, by the way, but point is like, well, this one doesn't live up to quite the same criteria that Lee was referring to, which is, I guess they only did this workshop. Do they have any? I can join this one. I can request. Oh, okay. I can go back to the others, but it's kind of like a missed opportunity. Is like, if I were to land on just this, let me go back. If I were to land on just that page, cool. Okay. Oh, these Layer5 people and this Meshery thing. Oh, this is cool. There's some weird looking guy doing this, but despite that, the content is cool. Do they do any other workshops? I guess they do. So pretend like, subtract, 10 IQ points, if you would, Haridashan, and then play with the site. And you know what I'm saying. Try to be try to be a lazy user, a lazy reader, because almost all of us are when we're cruising the net, right? We've got our finger on the scroll wheel. It's like boom, blam, boom, bang, bing. We don't read any of it. We just, and we keep going. And then 2, we're also probably don't always turn on the other half of our brain while we're doing this. And so unless you're like super into it, you're not going to necessarily realize, oh, this isn't just a one-off special announcement of these guys helping present the inaugural IstioCon, but is, yeah. So anyway, I belabored the point. My point is, I don't accept it. Go back to the drawing board. I think is what I'm trying to tell you. In the nicest and best of ways of trying to encourage you. Are you dismayed or are you encouraged?
Should be confused.
Yeah.
So Lee, as far as I can understand, you are you are telling that we should have a section that should suggest for others. If we are in workshop, then it should show other workshops, and if we are in the profile view, then it should not the profile, the internships part. Then it should show the other also. This is what you're trying to say.
You're in the internships. Say the last part again.
Like if we are in the particular page for the internship, particular mentorship, then it should show other mentorship at the suggestions in the last.
Uh, no, so not exactly. So like what he means to say is like we already have other methods by which we are showing the related or the latest things. So maybe Haridarshan can have a look at those already existing methods that we are being using throughout the site, and if one of them can be used to do the linking of these 3 pages, then it would be better. Like it not better,
Okay,
but
okay, I
basically
get
this
it.
is something new for the entire website. So that's the
So
point he's
follow
trying.
the same pattern.
Yeah, like if possible, or if he's willing to have this thing getting employed on multiple pages, then there is no issue with that. But we just need to think upon before adding any new design item in the website.
Okay, cool.
Like,
Yeah,
what I
great.
personally think about like drop downs, like or selects are that like they are one of the most intuitive components, because let's say that I've come to Google Summer of Code page and I just come here and I get like Google Summer of Code 2021, which is selected currently. I click on the select and it suddenly shows me like 7 options, let's say that. So I would also come to know that, okay, so Layer5 has been like part of Google Summer of Code for like 7 years. And after that, it's my wish that if I want to jump for the information of a particular year or not. So like what I'm trying to say is like the drop downs actually look very much intuitive to me. And then like we are like participating community bridge, LFX, and Google Summer of Code. So I guess for like all the internship parts, the drop downs would be like good to go, because like once they are employed, and then after that it would be like it would be good for the long run, instead of like going to similar to the blogs, because blogs are something like I'm here to read something. Okay, so I read the thing, scroll down, okay, I read it, that was a great article. Okay, there is something which is related to it. Let's read it too, because the previous content was really great. But in case of internships, I'm here for opportunities. Like I am here, Google Summer of Code. Okay, let's see like what in Google Summer of Code. I just enter Google Summer of Code and I see, okay, I see the select. And as soon as I see the select, I see, okay, so it has participated in like 3 consecutive years. So that is a great organization. I guess I should participate. And then I read to the contents, get all those things done, and that's it. So basically, like what I can say is, like, when we are reading blogs, we are actually here to read the blog. So if the content was good, I can read two blogs, three blogs, and consecutively. But in case of like opportunities, just scanning for opportunities, I guess drop down works well. Like it's quite subjective. I don't know like what are your opinions, but it just hit my mind first, like having a drop down.
So I remember we had this discussion in the channel when you were asking for suggestions on it. So like it is totally like a very good idea of having the drop down. So like just one issue that Nikhil has already pointed out, that if we are going to have individual pages as well, so it would be like redundancy. Like there would be like individual pages without the drop down, and then we'll have the page with drop down as well. So maybe just you can think of something to remove that. But yeah, like drop down can be included if you feel like there's no harm in it. But we'll just look into if the that redundancy can be removed, or maybe Lee can comment on the final use.
Josh, the item that you were just pointing out, were you highlighting? Were you saying that there might end up being an issue with just the top level category page itself?
No, so I'm
Like
just saying that, like let's say what he's proposing is like there are two different types of each two different types of pages. Like one would be already on GSOC, on /GSOC, where all the three pages would be there. Like it is a select, so like it's similar to your tab. Like all the three components get loaded onto a single page, and then you can switch between them. So the data is already present once there, and then the other option, like the other thing is just for the SEO purpose, that we don't lose that URL. So on that URL we have an individual page with the same data that was already present on one tab of that generalized page. So I'm talking about that thing.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So this conversation ended up being better than this is a good conversation. So Haridash and I, yeah, the thoughts that you were responding with are good. Makes sense that like all of them were reinforcing the same things that I was saying, which is part of what you're saying is like, hey, once you've taught the user once that there's an archive of programs to navigate by dropdown, then as they navigate over here, and then there's a dropdown of the same 3 years, that paradigm of interaction has been established, and then they know where to go seek it and find it out. And that so that was good for you, a good reflection of yours. Another good one was that you were putting yourself in the shoes of the user, saying, okay, well, hey, what's my task? What's the flow that I'm in? What's the purpose and reason that I'm here? What am I looking for? And so am I in this mode for reading a blog about particular content? Am I in a mode for hunting down an internship and learning how the organization has participated over time? And those mindsets and the nuanced differences between them can be informative toward what style interaction might be best fitting. There's many things to account for, like even while you're putting yourself in their shoes and you're answering that question, that you still desire for them to be able to discover other things, like, sort of like in a blog post. If you're reading about the things that Josh has done and the interview that he had here, and you're like, geez, I'd like my picture here. Did they do any internships? Well, I don't know. They've got other blog posts though. Oh, okay. Well, like there's some amount of seeding, cross-pollination, if you will, between So anyway, the last thing you said, which was good, is like, hey, while you're openly reflecting on that, you're recognizing that user experience or designing interfaces can be, and this is often why everyone has an opinion, it's quite subjective. It's like, well, I like curves on the card. That's better. It's like, well, in your mind, it's better. You know, like there's no shadow on this card, so I can't really tell that it's a card because it's not up here. It's like, well, like you can start to quantify and make things more black and white. You can go ask 50 people, is this a card? And depending upon, if most of them answer no, because there was no shadow and there was no outline for the top, then it becomes quantifiable that like, no, this is a worse design than having a shadowed design. Anyway, point is like, it's good to acknowledge that there are many right answers, and there's like many more wrong answers than there are right ones. One of the things that you reflected on is that if you've ever been to a WordPress blog or other types of blog, which all of you have, it wasn't infrequent that there was use of a plugin for the blog archives. And a lot of times sometimes it was as a long list of bulleted months and years. Other times it was a concise drop down that had the same long list of bulleted months and years, but it was in a drop down. So the notion that you'd go to a drop down for an archive might be an established paradigm that people are used to. It's one of the sad things about software in general, and user interfaces like a keyboard that has keys randomly placed on it, seemingly. People have to learn to type QWERTY style or this certain style. Why? Well, because that's been how other people have learned, and you can't just change it. You have to like take them on a slow evolution to moving to virtual VR, or like using their fingers in the air instead of just jumping there, which would be kind of nice. It's like, hey, do we even need drop downs at all anymore for any of us, or whatever these things are? Well, you can't really, you actually just end up having to reinforce the same interactions because that's what people have been taught on other sites. So it's a little bit disappointing in that regard. Anyway, so what Josh had given, I think, the perfect response, which is, hey, the drop downs will work. And by the way, I wasn't saying that they wouldn't work. What I was saying is exactly what you said, Haridashan, which is if you're going to bring a new paradigm of interaction, then make sure that it's worth teaching the user that and having them potentially stumble over it. Because actually, for my part, when I landed on the page, when I was looking at the work just now, when we started talking, I didn't know, I didn't see this. I didn't know it was there. And when we were talking, I was trying to find it real quick. Like, oh, it's like, ooh, it's like way up there.
Yeah, like I think we could just have something with maybe colors or something to make it highlight. Like currently it can be looked into like as it's just text written, not a drop down. Like it can be misinterpreted as just text written inside a box. So maybe we can try something else, like, but we can go ahead with the drop down. So we can just try things, and we can ask for opinions on Slack on that point as well.
Like a label, like archive or prior years or something. A label will help. Also,
I have one question.
Yeah.
Like we were discussing, we are going to have separate routes for each and every year too. Then how are we gonna route to them from the main website? Like right now we have cards for all of them, but what we are doing is that club them into the according to the mentorship program, and further have the drop down for the year. But if we do that, how are we gonna separate them? Like how are we gonna achieve this? Be
uh,
at that page.
yeah, so I get your point. So like that solely depends on we do some research regarding how the individual pages have been like spread across the internet, and like does it make more loss if we just like assume that we can skip those individual routes and we just have an uniform general route? Or so like we do some, like we look into some things and we can decide later, like I mean just after we get the implementation whether to have those individual pages or not. Maybe that's what we can do.
Cool.
And one more point that I would like to add is, like, whenever you are on the homepage of Layer5,
Yeah.
so like we kind of assume that you are going to go through the cards and all those things. The point of having the individual pages is to just cover up on SEO. Like, what if you go to Google search and try to like Layer5 GSOC 2019, like Google Summer of Code 2019? So if we remove that kind of thing, then I may say that we are going to lose some like leads on SEO.
So basically, we will not have direct linkage from the main site. Kind of.
So to add upon, like it would go on long discussion, but the thing is like there are different techniques by which it gets indexed. So like even though there isn't a page for GSOC 2019, still it would show you the results related to the GSOC page itself. Like it not only looks into the title or URL, but it also looks into the individual page data for indexing. So maybe that's just an excuse of not having the page, but yeah, it surely goes on the negative side of getting down indexing one, given that we already have those pages established. So I think we'll have some general consensus on what to do with that.
Can I suggest one thing?
Yeah.
Like we just don't need to lose slash year from the URL. That's basically the point here, basically, right?
Yeah.
So when we go to the drop down and click on a particular year, it's just changing from that view.
Yeah.
Just that from that page now. So rather than that, we could just change URL to.
So that would destroy the main what I would say, the main reason of having the select, because it doesn't want you to have a reload on that page. If you do
No,
the link thing, it would just
we can do that without reload too.
Like, without affecting the URL, we can't do without reload.
I
And
think hash routing could help. Uh, I don't know particularly about Gatsby, but I think hash URL could help. Okay, I will just say to it.
Yeah, actually, you don't. It's not worth. It's not worth it. Like, and this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying to Hard Dash and the other guys is like, guess what? You made it way too fucking hard, way too hard. It's like it's super simple. It's just a collection of things. You're like, it doesn't need to be dynamically changing and swapping out. Like, yeah, that's cool, and yes, you can get there, and yes, you can achieve all of the same things. You can dynamic JavaScript can absolutely dynamically reload the, not reload, but refresh the content of the page, just like you guys are, just like we are now. You can also, unless it's some weird limitation of, you can also redirect the user to, a new URL or update the URL as well. But it's like, it's not, I mean, it's not worth any of the rest of those investigations. Yeah, hey, if we slap if you make sure that all pages have it's okay if it reloads. Like, it's okay if you were to click in the drop down and have it go to a different page. Like, there's no real point in having the stuff dynamically refreshed. Like, that's not really a goal of the site. That's a goal of a SPA, a single page application, that something that we want to feel like an application. In this case, it's negative because of what you guys were just discussing, which is like, oh, I'm interested. Oh, the 2020, that looks great. Oh, okay. You know what? I need to tell Hard Ashton about this. Let me grab this. And oh, it's on 2021 though. And then you don't even notice, and then you're screwed. It's like, look, that's why did all that happen? Because we were trying to be too smart, like do something too complex, it's like, why? We could have been done with it a long time ago. Like, it's not necessary. So So yeah, hey, just to help Josh, because I know Josh is Josh wants to move on, which is, it's good that we do. Actually, with the 8 minutes that we have left, we'll move on. That is like, you should make every single one of these a routable page. We should have a label that says that there's archives, like kind of call it out a little bit more, maybe not have it be aligned, have the archive label be the same height, but have this slightly off so it kind of gets in the user's line of sight as they read the title. That way they'll actually notice it. You should just have the page reload and go to another page. You should make sure that as you're doing this, then that the category page, like here, there should be no more years listed. So this is wrong right now. And that when they click on it, it would just take them to the overarching description saying, we enjoy this program and we think you should participate. By the way, if you're interested in what we've done, what we're doing this year, what we've done in the prior years, here's a set of what that is. You click it on any one of the individual, like a year selector again, or maybe it's the drop down that you put like is centered down here or something that says, come check out what we've done and what we're doing. And that's it. They go from there. I mean, it's a good discussion. It's the part of the thing is that the premise upon which this has been built, the dynamicism, you're hurting it. We're hurting ourselves. Is uncalled for, unnecessary complexity that's causing, yeah. But it's good. But we're all learned in the process. This is good. All right, Ashton. I mean, this is great, man. I mean, it's a good thoughts. Like the thoughts that we just walked through are, well, it's the same, just like Josh was saying, same considerations everyone's gonna want to make whenever you design something.
Okay, we move on to the next topic. That's the I think the Get Nighthawk. So is who's there? Maybe we'll call upon Ritesh. Yeah, Ritesh. So do you have any progress that you can just show on the margins thing that we discussed on like the Get Nighthawk website?
Yes, just I'm been working on it, but like I'm finding it difficulty. Like I'm using Figma for first time. So like I have added like the mailing list. Can I share my screen?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, is it visible?
Yeah.
So what I have done, like I have moved that mailing list, like it is below. I have moved like somewhat to the upper head, and then like I'm finding like difficulty what all margins like I need to fix. If you can tell me like.
So I mean, like, have you did those changes on the website as well?
No. I'm just adding this like in this template, like the changes which I have done here.
So
I have
like
not raised it yet.
what my point on the discussion was, like the Figma design is like more apt, but the page currently has more spaces as compared to the Figma design. Like if you can just compare the design and the page, then you can see that like there's a significant difference in both of them. So I just wanted that if you can bring that page in similar things to what we have on Figma, like so that was what we didn't want to change like have any changes on Figma design, but yeah, if you can if you can make something brilliant out of it, then there's no issue in that as well. But for now, like what's prior is we can just go on removing the extra margins and padding on the website first, and then we can think upon if we can tweak the designs as well, and then we can bring those changes on website as well. But currently the main area of focus is to bring those changes on the website, so like removing the extra padding and margins. So I think I confused you by showing the Figma file. Like you can just you can just have a look on your own, and you can find out that where the spacing is extra, and you can remove it on your own, like if you don't want to refer to the design.
Okay, okay. So in the Figma, the design is fine, like final. So we only need to map the design to the website, like.
Yeah. Currently, that's what we are thinking upon.
Yeah, so I got it. Like I will give you response as soon as possible, like any updates. So.
Okay, thank you, no problem. The next topic we do have, can you just stop sharing or maybe move on to the meeting minutes so we can move ahead? Yeah, so the next topic we do have is the blog post. Yeah, we can take it afterwards. So there is the discussion forum. So we are just asking for content. So I saw multiple doubts as well on Slack channel, where there were like questions regarding setting up Meshery, or like I saw something like setting up the Meshery CTL. So maybe if you guys are having, like if you guys are doing any of those, like if you are even setting up the website and finding any difficulty, or like if you think that's a general error or general question, then you can just post them on the discussion forum. So it's not just for the, like just for announcements or like general news, but it's also for like it's more commonly for discussions. So maybe that could benefit you as and others as well. So I'll just like to call for content from every one of you, each one of you.
Nice. And then Josh, as you go to Josh, I'm gonna hand off host to you if I can of the call.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that after the meeting.
Okay. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yes. So actually, Josh, that's great because what I meant was like for the next 3 minutes, I'm gonna hand off host so that I can jump off. But actually, yeah, for next week as well. That sounds great. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, no problem. You can, like, if
Okay.
if you have any other meetings, you can leave. We can continue.
Nice. Okay, good. Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Thank you all. I'll let you guys actually be productive and talk about something other than drop down list.
Okay, so I guess my screen is visible, so we can move on to the next topic. Is Sajad able to join us? I guess he's there in the participants list. Sajad, can you just confirm your presence?
I don't think it's audible.
Okay, I think so. If you can drop down on chat any progress that you wish to showcase and discuss, I can share it if there's an issue with your mic or something. No problem. So we will move on to the next topic. We can catch on him in the next meeting. We'll see the design. So the next topic is the blog post by Dhruv, which is up for review. So like this is regarding the summer interns blog post. So anyone can just like this is up for review, so anyone can just go on to the PR and read it once, and if you find like there are some changes or some grammatical mistakes or anything that needs to be updated, so you can just comment it or review it on the PR itself. And then this is more of a proofreading thing, so then we can move on to merging this and having that blog post up on our website. So it's just a general call for anyone who wishes to go and have a look onto the PR, and maybe then we'll go on to merging it. And so I think that's all for today. Like, we don't have other topics, but just like I'll just talk a bit about the discussion forum, probably because
I think Sajad is in the chat.
yes, I yes, Sajad, if you can speak up. uh, okay, so the network issue persists, I guess. uh, Okay, apart from it, I think Rishabh, is this your first website's call?
Oh, yes, actually, this is my first website call. I recently joined.
So would you mind giving a small introduction to all of us regarding like how did you find and what are you looking for? So like it would be just no informal introduction for us.
Yes, sure. I would love to. All right. So, hey everyone. I'm Rishabh Singh. So, I'm based in Mumbai, India, and I'm actually a front-end developer as well as a freelance UI UX designer. Plus, I'm also working on the UI UX part of this machine. So, yes. Plus, I also plan to, since I'm a React person, I also plan to contribute to the front end part at some point. Since I'm a beginner currently, so I'm like, I don't want to get into like super deep stuff. So a small things which like help me get started. So I'm looking for those stuff. And yes, I joined last week, and so far, I already have a conversation with a lot of you, uh, uh, yeah, that's pretty much about it, I guess.
Uh, Cool. So like I think if you are into React, then like this is the like appropriate place, because we do have multiple projects revolving around React. There's the Meshry UI, which is on the a React framework, I think next on next, I guess, Tanuj.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah, and then we have the main website on the Gatsby part. So there are multiple projects on revolving around React, and you will find issues to contribute to. So we'll get back to you on Slack as well regarding if you want any help in your contributions. And so Sajjad, yeah, I can stop sharing if you are ready to display. No, you're not audible. I think you're on mute. That's why you're not audible. Um, I no, we still can't hear you, Sajjad. I like, can you just unmute yourself so that I think that's the issue, maybe. No problem, Sajad. I think I'll add this topic onto our next meeting, where we'll first discuss about this and we'll move on to the next topic. So we'll talk about this in the next meeting. So is anyone else having any topics that you think are missed and we can discuss on it? Like we are on to the end of this meeting. So anyone has any topics? Okay, then like if there are no any other topics, then that's like wrap for today's websites meeting. Thank you all for joining. Sajjad. Yeah, you can share the prototype. So basically what Sajjad is showcasing, he's working on the Learn NG design. So Learn NG is basically the learn part, where we'll be having the cards and we'll be having the workshops and other things listed. So it's yeah, you can move ahead, Sajjad. I can just give you some live commentary so people can understand. Okay, so this is the section he's trying to point us. Uh, okay, so you're trying to implement this component, right? Okay, you can go ahead. Okay, so I think, yeah, this is the design that you have come up with. So Sajjad, I think like we won't be able to continue, like there's a communication gap, so like maybe we are not understanding exactly. So like the design looks very good. I What I would suggest is we can shift it to the next meeting. Like you can showcase these things if you have mic as well into the next meeting. So will that be like do you mind moving on this topic to the next meeting, or you want to continue? Yeah, thank you, Sajjad. As we are already 10 minutes past, so thank you guys for joining, and next we'll meet on next Monday for the next websites meeting. Looking on for Sajjad with his prototype along with his mic. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today's meeting. Goodbye. Thank you all.